Another episode of the Shaken and Stirred Show. I'm Nigel Barker in New York, and it is a crazy, crazy year, isn't it, everybody? I know it's ups and downs. The news is all over the place, but we're not here to talk about any of that. We're here to brighten your week and perhaps give you something to drink about. How about that? This is the Shaken and Stirred Show, and we've got a rather fun guest for you this week. You know, we have all kinds of guests. I don't often get too deep into the industry, but you love it when I do. And so by popular demand, I have a rather special guest. I'm going to introduce him in a rather unusual way because he's a lot of things. He's an entrepreneur. He's a tastemaker. He's, in my opinion, a brand genius. He's the CEO of Sovereign Brands that you may have heard of. And I must say, when you see him, because if you can watch this podcast, everybody out there, you could go and watch Shaken and Stirred Show. You will not forget him because of the way he has branded himself with a distinct look. And I want to get into that too. He's responsible for developing a collection of the top wines and liqueurs. Please welcome Brett Berish. Brett, how are you?
Nigel, fantastic. And your intro is perfect. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Welcome to the Shaken and Stirred Show. You've got an incredible bar behind you.
It's nice.
Full of colors. I love it. Those are obviously all the different products you produce.
Yeah, and more coming. And that's my family behind me. They're all my kids. I love them to death.
I love it too. I just love all the colors and everything that you produce. Now, what are you drinking? That's how we always start the Shaken and Stirred Show, on a question on what the actual drink that you have.
So I am making, ready? I'm going to make it for you. I'm going to keep it really simple. So this is my ice. I'm putting my ice in my bamboo cup, and a consumer made up this recipe. I have, Nigel, one of my two brands. I have this brand called Villon, which is a liqueur cognac. And someone came up with something called, and with this product, which is my bamboo cream, and they call it the Villonaire. And it's half Villon, which I'm going to pour now. It's half Villon and half bamboo cream, and you can skip dinner and just stick to drinking all night long.
Bamboo cream is a rum and cream combination?
Correct. It's amazing. We launched it last year in 2021. It's on fire. It's a cream-based rum liqueur. It's unlike anything else out there, but you can mix it, you can taste, you can drink it straight. Don't think of it as a dessert because it's got a lot of flavor, but it's just so much fun to try and mix stuff with it.
And you're mixing that with cognac. So there's cognac, rum, and then the cream together. Now, are you stirring that? You simply pour the two on top of each other and you're just leaving it.
I'm done. I like simple drinks. I like the drinks I don't have to think about, where it's half and half, and that's good. And usually, to give you an example, I'm a straight drinker, meaning I love things straight because I like tasting it. So to me, as simple as you can get is mixing two pieces and put some ice in and you're done.
So it's almost like a White Russian as far as the way you're making it. But then in that particular glass that you're using right now, it almost looks like a plastic cup. But what is it?
It's our own bamboo cups. It's got our name on it with a little X logo. It makes me think it's my own version of the dude from The Big Lebowski. This is what he would drink when he's walking around or when he's getting picked up in a car.
You kind of remind me of him a little bit too.
I'll take that as a compliment. I love
the take that as a compliment. But that drink, is it actually made out of what, china, or is it glass?
Oh no, it's a paper cup.
It is a paper cup.
It's a paper cup. I just make everything look high end when I hold it.
Well, I wasn't necessarily going to say that, but I'll take you on that. Listen, as a brand guy, you can sell anything. I'm going to join you. I'm using an actual glass though, folks. So this is not high end, and it happens to be not really anything special. This glass is just an old glass that I like, and I'm making a classic. I am making a black velvet.
Ooh,
now, black velvet, people, is a classic from 1861. Okay, this is from Brooks Bar in London, was when it was first invented, when King Albert passed away. And what it is Guinness, which you probably heard it open, and sparkling wine or champagne. And I am using one of your Bel Air champagne, or sparkling wines rather, and it's the gold. And to get it right, you pour it over the back of a spoon, and it would have been a silver spoon back in the day, and you top up the Guinness with champagne. And the idea was that when Prince Albert died, they wanted everybody and everything to mourn, including champagne should mourn. So how better than to have black champagne? So Guinness and champagne were combined to create a black velvet. And it's a classic. Again, very easy to make. Two drinks like you just had, Guinness and sparkling wine. Most people have those at home anyway, so you can go ahead and make one yourself. Cheers. Here you go. It's a lot better than it looks, by the way.
Cheers. Cheers.
Mm. It's actually fabulous. For all of you out there who are not sure about Guinness or stouts, you think they're too bitter, the champagne picks it up fantastically, gives it a little edge and actually sweetens it. So it makes it even more palatable. Very delicious, highly recommend. All right, I want to dive into this with you here. You have all kinds of brands. I want to know, before we get into that, what was it like for you? How does someone like you sort of start? What was let's go back to the origins of Berish. And before you are the man you are now, and you've got an incredible, impressive array of everything behind you. But I know there's a lot of people out there who want to know how to get into brand building. And what was the sort of the genesis of you?
Well, we all have our demons. I didn't know what I wanted to do until my 30s, so it wasn't early. I was the kid who, for those people who are like me, where I had a million ideas and didn't execute on any of them because I didn't know which one to choose. And I finally made the decision in my 30s I wanted to be in the liquor business. My dad was in the liquor business. I love the business. I love brands. I love drinking. And I dove in. And I mean, that's how it starts. Sometimes it's good not to know any better, because then you're fearless, because you're not putting obstacles in front of you. But I dove in and started this almost 22 years ago. We started in 99. And I'm on what I like to think, my 7th successful brand. But it's been fantastic. It's been ups and downs. You wouldn't believe, Nigel, but it's been amazing. And I couldn't think, I couldn't be happier in focusing on wine and spirits in this industry.
You say you dove in, I guess, those many years ago. What does dive in mean? What was the first thing that you did?
For me, it's all the same. It hasn't changed. I start drinking categories. That's what I do. I start drinking things and getting into it and learning about them, because my ultimate goal for all my brands is it needs to be better than the people I'm competing against. If I'm going to do a champagne, it's got to be better than the competition. If I'm doing a rum, it's got to be better than the competition. So I'm learning about it. I'm drinking, I'm studying it. I'm trying to understand, what goes in it, because if I can come up with something, I need to come up with something better. Better is taste, better is the story, better is a package, better is design, better is the name. All those things are important, because at my level, competing against the big companies like a Diageo, Bacardi, a Pernod Ricard, I can't compete with them on money. I gotta make a better product. If I use my rum, Nigel, as an example, this rum called Bamboo, it's in 70 plus countries. This is a product that everyone, when I entered the category, said, don't do it. Premium rum isn't a thing. It is now. 4.5 years later, we're the #1 premium rum probably in the world. And then if I take a market like Canada, which is our biggest single market outside the United States, no one from my company's been there. And
never been to Canada?
Never been. No one from my company has ever done anything. We haven't done anything at all in the market, but that to me shows the brand is strong. It's a powerful brand. People like the taste. There's word of mouth. That's brand building. When people talk about something you like, that's brand building, and it works.
Let's again take it back a step, because I mean, some of this, is I understand and I hear you on what you're saying, but from a tangible perspective, how does one say take a champagne, for example, like you started with, and make it better, right? Because when you think about what that means, there's a lot of process to making champagne, and the word champagne, it can only be made in a certain place in France, in Champagne, and then there's the years of the actual the sun and the rain and the quality and the actual weather changing the champagne, and there's the sommeliers involved, and so there's a lot of stuff happening, and I look at the sparkling wines, and of course the champagne that you produced back in the day, what, Ace of Spades, right? Was
Yep.
the brand that you created. How did you make it better? What was the process to make it better?
Well, let's take Belaire first as the example. Belaire, so watch, this brand is 9 years old. It is now about to be the #1 selling premium sparkling or champagne in the United States. It's in 80 countries. So that didn't happen because of advertising and spending money. It happened because we made a better product. So now what you just talked about is history. And what I try to focus on is, well, history doesn't necessarily dictate what is the best and what's better. So watch, if I asked you, Nigel, what's the best still rosé in the world? It comes from one place, that's Provence. So why doesn't the best rosé sparkling come from Provence? That's where Belaire comes from. If I asked you, where's the best Chardonnay grapes? Where do they come from? Most would say they come from Burgundy. That's the best Chardonnay. So my Burgundy, my white side of Belaire comes from Burgundy. So to me, it's not about necessarily, it's like a painter who's got two coats of colors he can use. Boy, he can be so much more creative if he's got 10 different colors or 20 different colors to play with. I want to have as many opportunities to make something better. And that's what I try to focus on. My rum, as an example, my mainline rum, which is this bottle, which I hope you try one day.
Yes, so I have it right here, the bamboo. I have a bottle right in front of me too.
It's our main line. It's produced in Barbados. I wanted something, Nigel, that was creamy, that had a lot of character, a lot going on with it. And that's exactly what we got. And then I wanted to come out with a different type of rum, a rum that to me would be like a cigar, like a big fat cigar, or like dark chocolate. And that became this brand. This is Bamboo XO. Barbados couldn't do it. They couldn't do it based on the profile and what I was looking for. And now this is produced in oh my gosh, in I forgot where it's produced. I've been drinking too much.
Well, anyway, it's produced somewhere else, right? So
Correct.
The point being, though, that, and this isn't completely unusual with brands. I mean, you hear that with a lot of brands, but I guess the interesting thing there is how important then is organic and authentic story behind a brand. What is the brand exactly? Is the brand just packaging and liquid, or is it provenance?
Well, again, you're talking to me. So to me, everything's important. To me, story. So, Bamboo, watch as an example. This Bamboo, the name, in the 14th century merchants, I'm not making it up, merchants traveled to the West Indies. They didn't like the taste of traditional rum, which they called grog, and they would blend their own rum out of rum. They would add spices and character, and that was called Bamboo. And we brought that back to life. And then we chose Barbados. We could have done this anywhere, but we chose Barbados because the water is important to rum. And in the island of Barbados, the island acts as a natural aquifer. You don't have to filter anything. And then we decided to take our wine knowledge and in wine, you can grow Chardonnay in different regions. It's always going to be a little different because of where it's grown and how it's grown. Grapes are different based on the topography, based on air, climate. Wow. Same thing with sugarcane. We use 8 different sugar canes from 8 different countries. So that's story, that's telling a story. And then it's the package. I wanted something that stands out and different. Big X on the bottle, like X marks your spot, or the cork. It's probably the longest cork in the whole industry. You could bite it out like a pirate would. All these things to me matter. And I won't launch a brand unless I have all these pieces together. Taste, package, story, history, they're all in all our brands. Every single one has the same methodology.
What comes first when you're creating a brand? You just mentioned a lot of different things all coming together. Which one comes first?
It's interesting. It's almost, to me, I'm a big fan of music, and it's like music. Sometimes you have a beat and you hold on to it. Sometimes you have a hook and you hold on to it. Sometimes you got a lyric and you hold on to it. Sometimes you're telling a story. To me, it's just like that. Maybe we'll see a an idea for a name, and I'll hold it because I like it. I like it. There's a story there I want to tell based on that name. There's history there. Here, Villon. Villon was a 14th century poet named Francois Villon. He lived in the 14th century. He was an iconoclast. He went against the grain. He fought against bad people. He was kicked out of Paris and ultimately killed by a monk. I've sat on the name forever. I love the name. It means something to me. And then bottle. The bottle could be coming up with a design that we like and we sit on and because it feels right. It's something we can create around. And then it could be the liquid. The liquid's always the hardest and most important. And we build around that. The liquid to me is, as I said, I taste everything. Right now, I'm really into scotches. I'm really into peated scotches. And my job then is I figured out a way to make a better product that exists in the market than my competition. So I'm blending all those things together.
Amazing. So obviously the liquid is key. I mean, you can have incredible packaging and what have you, and that will certainly get people perhaps to open the door and check it out. But if they don't taste it right, and if it doesn't taste and sit right with them, they're probably not coming back again, even if it looks fantastic.
100%. And I tell my team, and I tell anybody this all the time, you could have a great package, but if it doesn't taste good, they're never going to come back. You could have a great tasting product, but if they don't notice you, they're not going to try you. So you need both. You need, for me, you need everything. You need to have everything, or else I can't do it.
Are you trying to identify gaps in the market when you're looking at creating a new brand, or is it just what you want to do?
No, it's our gut feeling. It's what we want to do, how we want to do it. If things are hot, I give you one example. If things are hot, I will not do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to play. To me, it's not. I want to make a better product. That's all I want to do. So it's not about, again, using all my brands, whether it was Ace of Spades, they laughed at me when we created that because we're going against Cristal and Dom and Krug, or a Belaire, when they said, well, you put it in a black bottle, you can't see the liquid. That's a mistake. You got to change that. I'm used to people saying, no, it can't be done. But for me, we stick to our guns. We believe in what we're doing, and we'll get there. And that bottle you're holding is the single biggest rosé in the United States, single biggest sparkling rosé in the United States. Amazing.
Let's talk about this for a minute, because this is your rosé that's in a dark bottle that distributors probably said to you is not going to work because people can't see the rosé, they can't see the liquid, they want to see that it's pink, they want to see that it's a rosé, and you were like, no, I'm putting it in a black bottle, I'm going to label it like this. And it's going to. How do you convince the distributors? Do you need to convince them? And then on top of that, what do you think it was? Do you think it was with the consumer? Did they see this and then go? Were they just curious as to know what was inside it? And so tell us, give us a little bit of the story there.
So my mistake was, and I'm very transparent because I think it helps the next person out there who wants to do something in business. My mistake was, my first 6 or 7 years in this business, when someone told me what to do, I assumed they were right. And I would change it, Nigel. I would change everything. So years earlier, if someone said, and they said this, about Belaire, don't put it in a black bottle. You're nuts. Why are you launching rosé first? You got to launch a Brut first. Brut is the main category. Then you come out with a rosé or a Blanc de Blancs or a demi-sec. You can't compete with the brands like a Moet and Veuve. You shouldn't go at that price point. I would have changed it. I got past that idea of, I got to trust my instincts. I got to trust what I believe, what my team believes, and this is the right thing to do. We wanted to make a name for ourselves in rosé. We came up with a better product in the rosé category. I needed to stand out. I think the black bottle did that for us. And it worked, but it worked because the trade, ultimate trade, and the ultimate trade is your retailers, is your bars and restaurants believed in the product. And if they believe in the product, they're going to get behind it. That's how it works for us. We got to build our army. We got to build our army of believers who get behind our products.
Yeah, no, I understand. And it's one of those things where, certainly in the fashion industry, which I know something about, there are mavericks who will do things that, probably can't be worn, but ultimately it's a statement. It grabs people's attention, makes them excited, and brands are built and become iconic for something which potentially no one ever owned, but then people buy into the myth, the legend, the fantasy, and they want a piece of it, and so they go and seek it out. And I certainly see. Obviously, in this instance, you've got a liquid and people have to drink it. So it might be a dark bottle that they can't see inside of, but once they opened it up, they're obviously loving what they're getting inside, right?
You got to get past those people. That's the hard part. When I'm sure you know the wine critic Jancis Robinson.
Yeah.
When she wouldn't try Ace of Spades, she wouldn't do it. She just looking at that bottle, she wouldn't do it. And then a famous wine critic in Finland, Essi Avalon, tried it and named it the #1 champagne in the world out of like 1,000 brands. And then Jancis went out and bought a bottle, and she literally wrote that it's compared to her favorite, which was Paul Roger 99. It was dull and diffuse compared to, it was the best champagne she's ever tried, Ace of Spades. So you got to get past that. And to me, I don't want to build brands around people who aren't believers. I want to build brands around people who are believers. That's the key, because you'll get them eventually.
How the bottle design? I mean, how involved are you specifically in that? I mean, you mentioned the black bottle, and your bottles all have a distinctive look. I mean, whether it's the bamboo with the sort of the cross on it that looks like a pirate's drunk it with a big cork, to your gin that I'm looking at, to the Bel Air Lux in a white bottle, the black bottle. What is that process like, and how involved are you?
I'm intimately. These are, like I said, these are my kids. Yeah. There's a couple of us who work on brands. It's my favorite part. But everything has a story. If you talk about my gin, I don't even know if you noticed, but on the back of the bottle, there's a poem. I think we're the only brand in the whole world that put a poem on the back of the bottle, and it's about this band called McQueen and the Violet Fog. And the main logo is this eye and crown, and it's like the Illuminati, or the top is weighted. It's heavy, it feels heavy. I want things. This is going to the consumer. These are, to me, it's a trophy. To me, my brands mean you've done something, you've achieved something. You want to show them off because they're no different than a Bentley, than a Porsche, than a Rolex. You've done something, and that's what these brands represent. So everything about them is important. And ultimately, my goal is I want people to feel bad if you throw them out when you're done. Keep them, use them for something. Have a bottle on your shelf that you open, and a bottle on your shelf that's always there mentality. But it's every detail's critical to me. And again, I don't know how other people build brands. To me, everything you mentioned on the bottom of the bottle, it's debossed. There's no paper on it. There's stories that need to be told, and I'm telling them through the design and the package.
I mean, I'm holding this bottle here. It's definitely unique. It's heavy. It has an almost apothecary type of kind of vibe to it. With the look of it all. Are there things that you recommend people don't do when creating a brand?
It's more about what you gotta. To me, the philosophy is you gotta trust your instincts. You gotta rely on yourself. You gotta you gotta lead. You can't follow. It's why I don't like following trends. If I don't look at stats, I don't look at numbers. That's not why I'm in this. Maybe early on, that's why I got in the business, hoping, shit would happen really fast, but it doesn't happen that way. You got to love what you do, and you'll eventually get there. And that's what's worked for me. That's what's worked. So
no, I hear you, and I get it too. I mean, there's certainly one of the biggest pieces of advice I often give people is not to edit themselves, to allow themselves to be free and to be spontaneous and to react with their gut and be in the moment, in order to really feel it from an artist's perspective.
Correct. And I think I'm guessing it may be the same in the fashion industry, but when I talk to musicians in the music space, the thing, my takeaway is, and I always ask this question: your most successful commercial song, did you think it was going to be a hit? 99% of them will say never. I hated it. I didn't like it. And the beauty of that is you got to try stuff. That just tells a story. You got to throw it out there. You got to see what sticks. If you don't, and if you overthink it, you're going to miss the opportunity. I'm guessing fashion's the same way. You may love it, but that second or third or fourth design may be the biggest hit. The consumer decided. Let them decide, and you play off what they're telling you to do. And that's what I live by. The consumer's telling me if it's working or if it's not. The consumer's telling me how to get there. Those are, they're fans. Treat the fans with respect, and you can follow their lead.
How important is celebrity endorsement? I mean, I know that you have several, brands that have been endorsed by various top celebrities, but what's your take on that? And does the world need another celebrity endorsed brand? Because there are so many of them.
I'll put it in. I'll answer it in a different way. If you ask me this question, who do I think can empower a brand? I have no clue. I have no idea. I have no idea I can name you 100 brands in my industry that have been celebrity-backed brands that have failed.
Right.
To me, there's no question celebrity helps. There's a reason why Coke would hire Cindy Crawford or Pepsi or Justin Bieber. But for me, what works is I know these people. I don't want a transaction. I want a relationship. I've known them. I've worked with them. I've done things with them prior where I've built a foundation because I want to build something long-term. There's value there for both of us long-term. So I'm much more comfortable working with people that I consider friends and it takes time, and I have patience. That's the hard part, is having patience. But I don't want to jump at anything. I want to have this organic relationship. And you know what? They get it. They see what I'm doing. They appreciate it. They like it. And then let's work together.
I mean, and you say that, and obviously, as far as like finding these individuals or meeting them, is it the music that you listen to first? Is it the fact that how do you already work with them? I mean, how does that start, that process of picking that person?
I'll give you different examples. Post Malone was a brand ambassador for us. I loved him. We were huge fans of him when he had one song, and I can help him and he can help me. And I liked him and he liked me. And then we started working together. I remember asking my Uber driver about what hip hop he listens to, what up and coming. And he told me about 2 names, and we ended up reaching out to them. And I got to know both guys. One was Gierbo. The other one was a Boogie with the Hoodie. And we became friends, and they knew my brands and they liked my brands, and I liked them as people, and we started working together. It could be people that have supported us, like Rick Ross. Rick Ross was a huge supporter of Bel Air before I ever knew the guy. Once I saw he's supporting me, I'm like, this is amazing. I'm going after Rick. I want him on my team. This guy's he's working it for me. DJ Khaled, the same thing. It could be, I interviewed, there's a woman out of Atlanta. She's an unbelievable influencer, comedian, artist, actress. Her name is Pretty V. I interviewed her. After the interview, we just clicked. She was hit. That's the beauty of I want people who are just like me. They're going to beat me over the head and hit me because they want to work with me. They want to do something. I want that energy on my team. And it's hard to find that because people usually expect everybody to reach out to them. Wait for them to come to you mentality. That's not me. I want people who are going to reach out and just shout it out that we're supporters. Let's do something.
You just said that you interviewed Post Malone, or you spoke to Post Malone, but it was through your interview process, and that's self-made, right? That's your podcast or your interview. That's a podcast called Self-Made, right?
I don't know if it's a podcast. It's just something I do that I enjoy, which is I interview, whether it's musicians or business people or comedians, actresses. I want to hear, they're all famous, but I don't care about the famous part. I just want to hear about the shit that they went through, the bad stuff, because that's the stuff that I can relate to. That's the stuff that gets me motivated. When Post Malone was made fun of in high school because he looked different, he acted different. His dad wore suits every day, so he would wear suits every day. When Rhapsody would tell me about, she knew she loved what she was doing because when she didn't have enough money and all she cared about was just getting to the studio, she knew she loved music. That's the stuff I love. So I do these interviews with different genres, and I want to hear their stories. I want to hear their grind to get there, just the grind side.
And where does Self-Made live?
It's sometimes we do it in person and we post it on YouTube. Sometimes it's just Instagram Live where I'll do it on one of our channels together with them, and then we'll post it on YouTube. But it's under Self-Made. Self-Made tastes better. I just got Rick Ross. I wasn't even in it. It was Rick Ross, Lil Wayne, DJ Khaled, and Wiz Khalifa on a Self-Made round table where they just talked about the fight to get there, which was awesome. But everything I do, Nigel, I do things that feel good, like that. I just think I'm at that stage, and hopefully I've been at that stage where I want to try stuff, and if it sticks, it sticks, you know. But to me, I think there's some value to getting out, there's value for people watching it.
Have you had a favorite interview?
I think it's always the last one because I remember it the best. They all have different stories, you know. My last interview was Gata. Gata's is the hype man for Little Dicky. And Gata and Little Dicky are on the TV show Dave. And just hearing Gata's story, he's got such energy, and he's a fighter, and he's got a saying, Gander, which is, you know, you motivate others, motivate yourself. And the energy that people give is just fantastic because they were in shitty positions and they got there. And then he's a big fan of Rick Ross. And yesterday I was with Ross and we FaceTime together with Gata. Like that feels good. So, you know, it's usually my last interview. Like I said, I remember it the best, but they're all good. They all have a story to tell.
You know, I mean, clearly you're plugged in. I mean, you're plugged into this entire, you know, sort of hip hop movement and a lot of cool people, and you're interviewing great artists. You've got, you know, incredible product. You've made a success. I mean, for you, looking forward, what are you thinking is next for you? I mean, is there an end game? It seems like you've been doing this game for ages, and you just love it and you enjoy it. Does there need to be an end game for you? Is it just continuing on?
No, I think it's the same thing I thought when I was in my 20s. If I want to just execute ideas that are good ideas, it's not about whose idea it is. It's about executing good ideas. I don't care. When I've got probably 8 or 9 brands we're working on. I want to see them come to life. I want to birth them. I want to watch them grow up. I want to help them. I joke, but I'm not kidding. They're like children, and you gotta micromanage them when they're little and get them in the right accounts and get them the right look and feel, and you gotta get them to, you know, toddler level, and then grade school level, then high school and college, and let them go. That's brand building, and I love that part. And if I run out of ideas, I think I'll stop, but it hasn't happened.
What's the difference between a brand that's successful in the US versus, say, Asia versus, say, Europe? Do you find that, you know, I mean, obviously when one tries to create a brand, you try to create something that's universal, but does it translate always universally, you know, with different cultures and different places?
It's a great question. I have a view of let things breathe, because I'm not smart enough and you're not smart enough to know who picks it up. So, but if there's interest, you gotta let it breathe, let it go. So I'll give you an example. In Latvia, and I had to look it up where it is in the map, bamboo is the fastest growing single spirit in the whole country. They're not a rum market. It's not a rum market, but bamboo is bigger than rum there. It's enormous. We would do the equivalent of 2 million cases in the United States in Latvia. Let it breathe. There's a market for it. So brands can take a life of their own, and that's why we're in so many markets, because it's working. There's an audience for these brands. So, but I'm not the one to decide, but I want to let it breathe and see where it goes.
In a place like Latvia, though, I mean, is it just naturally taken off, bamboo, or do you have a team of people that go in there and go, okay, we're going to work the Latvia market. We're going to have, you know, people at, you know, girls at certain bars. We're going to have events. We're going to do bamboo parties. We're going to do pop-ups. I mean, what's the strategy here?
I'd love to tell you that there's a big planned strategy. There's not. At the end of the day, you got to find like-minded people who believe in you, who believe in your brands, who like what they taste like the story. They're going to get behind it. Hopefully you is an example. One of these brands you're going to pick up that's going to feel like yours. You own it. This is, you like the taste, you like the feel. And you know what you're going to do? You're going to tell somebody else. You're going to tell somebody else. And they're going to tell somebody. That's how my brands are built. That's always how they're built. We're the number one brand in rum in Jamaica, in the UK, in Austria, in Belgium, in Czech Republic, Canada. It's nothing special that we did other than we have a great product and it's resonating.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, it's certainly, it's a great. I mean, I love your enthusiasm. You know, you are someone who is definitely has an infectious enthusiasm for what you're doing, for what you're about, for the stories you're telling. And you know, you find that with certain brands, but you also find people with you know, when you talk to them about the brand, that you know, they're somewhat removed from it. They don't have the same kind of knowledge or even perhaps connection with it. I mean, for you, they definitely, you mentioned they're like your children. They do sound like your children. You talk about them in that way. They definitely, and so for that reason, it's almost, you know, if one were to say something negative about it, you would feel almost, feel like I was insulting your child or something.
100, and I'll take it personally, and you'll piss the shit out of me. And you know what? I got a big chip on my shoulder, and I want to prove you wrong. You know, and it's hard to change how you're built, but that's how I'm built. But I think what I just said though about children, I think that can be the same mentality for any business. If it's fashion, if it's entertainment, if you don't take it personally, then something's wrong. And you should take it personally. You should be all in on it.
I couldn't agree more. I literally couldn't agree more. I think you have to be all in. If you're not all in, if you're not even more than all in, if you're not 150% in, you know, then there's a real problem as far as really, you know, getting it done, right?
But it's even to the point of, and in your field, I'll give you an example. Like I more and more I see we have more followers on Instagram, Nigel, than any other liquor brands. It's amazing. And our brands are lifestyle. They're not liquor brands, it's lifestyle. And now we're seeing our brands cross over into lifestyle, into fashion. So as an example, there's a designer, Kid Super, you know?
I don't know him, no.
He's very successful. He just did a fitting for Dua Lipa, but no, we're doing something together. Like that only happens if you're close to the audience, if you're seeing how your brand is reaction. And you know what? You can say, boy, I think I can go in this direction now. I think I can build my audience in this direction. And it's authentic and it's real and it's organic. So I think being as close as you can helps.
You know, you obviously mentioned fashion and what have you. When I look at some of your brands, for example, Bamboo and even the McQueen and the Violet Fog, you know, they have this sort of almost Chrome Hearts-esque vibe to them. The sort of pirate and biker, and is that something you go for? Is that, how do you, I mean, what was that the intended look?
No, well, to me, McQueen, this McQueen is more old school rock and roll. This is Florence and the Machine. This is old school rock and roll to me. Bamboo is more, I don't know, chic. Even though it's got the X and the look, this is higher end. This is got some chic to it. The Villon is definitely black, and it's the snake and the dagger. It's almost mythology.
It almost looks like a tattoo, though. I mean, there's an element to the symbolism that you use. You sort of put one big logo on each one. One has a crown, one has a cross, the other one has a dagger and a snake. All could be tattoos.
And I love it. And I love it for that reason, because I hope they are. Or as an example, when I did Bel Air doesn't have that. But to me, Bel Air had this big, powerful name that meant something. And now the shield is turned into that emblem. Ace of Spades, there's no question. That was a big, powerful symbol. They wouldn't pronounce the name Armand de Brignac, but Ace of Spades, they'll remember. I have a new brand coming. It doesn't look like anything like these other ones. It almost feels like Burning Man.
Have you had anything that's been particularly challenging that hasn't worked?
It depends how you look at it. My first brand that doesn't exist today is both my most successful brand. It is my most successful. To me, it's the only reason I exist today, my first brand, because it allowed me all the mistakes I made, all the decisions I made, all the not trusting my instincts, not following my gut, relying on others, chasing, going too fast, not having patience. All the mistakes I made is because of that first brand. And if I hadn't gone through that, I wouldn't be where I am today. So my first brand. It depends how you look at it. To me, you know, it's my most powerful brand because it's literally why I exist today.
So you're sort of defined also by your failures then.
100%. I tell my team all the time, you got to try things. Every day I have a bad idea, but hopefully I've got two good ideas for every bad one. But I want to try them. I want to try them because you don't know. I'm not smart enough to know what's going to work. But if I try a whole bunch of things and I'm close enough to see what's working and what's not, and make decisions, pivot constantly, I'll get there. I tell a story, Nigel. I almost think business to me is like improv and a comedian. When he goes up on stage and tells a joke one night, he gets the audience's reaction. And then he goes back and the next night he goes up and he tells the joke a little bit different to see if he can get more of a reaction. Then he goes up and tells the next joke, the same joke again, the next night, a little bit different. And he feeds off the crowd based on that reaction. To me, that's what business is. You got to feed off the crowd and you'll learn, you'll figure it out, but you got to keep trying things. You got to keep trying and you'll get there.
You know, really, I guess, really important advice, to be honest with you. And I agree with everything you're saying. I've felt it. I've experienced it myself. You know, looking at you, I know with myself, I made a conscious decision years ago to shave my head, and it became a sort of a part of who I am. It became a part of my identity. You know, I can grow hair. It's not that I have to be bald. I decided to do it, and it became a look. You have very much a look. You remind me of Zeus. You have this incredible sort of head of sort of shock of white blonde hair, big white beard.
Hold on, if you look close, it's kind of yellow and green right here. But
that's why I said white blonde. I wasn't quite sure.
My wife wants me to get that purple stuff, and I keep telling her, no, I can't change me. Don't change me.
Yeah, my grandmother used to have a purple rinse. I'm not sure you want to do that.
No, don't do that.
But anyway, I'm sure you could rock it. Have you always looked like this? Has this been a look that's evolved? Someone, a brand person like yourself, I'm sure that this is also a part of who you are, your brand.
Well, it's interesting. I've never been part of the brands. I've always had the brand speak first. This is new for me. But if I can be an influence on the brands, fantastic. My look has evolved. There's no question. But I think, you know, again, like everything in life, you evolve, and I'm evolving. So there's no question. Maybe I'm evolving. I don't know which way. Maybe chic homeless is a good way to think of it. But I don't know. It's me.
That's very Zoolander. I think that they call that hobo chic.
Yes.
Yes. Which I actually don't think. I think you are. I like it more. You know, Greek god is a better way to go for you.
But for me, it's no different than what I'm doing. I'm owning. I want to own what I'm doing. So, you know, I want everything to be. I don't know. There's a story. So there's a story with everything. There's a story with my chains. There's a story with everything I do. I want there to be a story, and it makes me feel whole. Someone said it's as long as it's natural, that you can't go wrong.
Amazing. I couldn't agree more. Look, before I let you go, you've been very generous with your time. We have something called Last Orders on the Shaken and Stirred show. A little quick, few questions to get inside the head of Brett Berish. Brett, if you could drink a cocktail, or one of your drinks perhaps, with a celebrity or star or character even from any movie or television show, who would that be? What show would it be, and what would you be drinking?
There's so many people, Nigel. That's not fair.
I know it's a hard one.
I go with my favorite movie, which is The Man Who Would Be King, and I would choose Sean Connery and Michael Caine. and we drink my rum ex Bamboo XO on the rocks all together. And I'd love to hear the stories about that movie.
I love that. I'd like to come and be a part of that too. Next question. In the movie of your life, who would you have play you?
I love the dude. Jeff Bridges would be good. I'd want Kurt Russell.
I love it.
I want Kurt Russell because, again, I just think he dates back to Disney and Walt Disney, and I would want to talk to him. I'd want to talk to him. I think he could do it.
I can see it right now. I am Spartacus. That's why I said you look like Zeus or a Greek god. Yeah, it's right there. I get it totally. Fantasy dinner party. You can have 3 guests, dead or alive. Again, who would they be?
I'd pick 3 Jews. I'd pick Gene Wilder. I'd pick Mel Brooks, and I'd pick Zelensky.
There you go. Wow.
I'd want to get them in a room. People I admire, people that I think are funny, people that I think have done amazing things. I think they'd be awesome.
I love that. When you pour yourself a drink, what music do you turn on?
Can I give 2?
You may give as many as you like.
Kodak Black's Patty Cake. Kodak Black is an artist. He's got a song called Patty Cake, and he says, I'm sipping on Bel Air. So that's easy. And then I'd say this is easy. Neo, In a Heartbeat. Neo's song Champagne Life.
There you go.
You know the song?
Yeah, I do actually.
Well, it's a beautiful day. It's going to be a beautiful night. Break out the champagne. Everybody get a glass. Oh, I love Neo. He played at my wife's birthday.
Oh, amazing. Fantastic. What a great party that must have been. And final question rather. Shaken or stirred, Brett?
Shaken. It's got to be cold. Shaken. I don't want to wait for it to get cold. Shake it.
There you go. Shake it, everybody. Brett Berish, who's been shaking it up forever with his incredible brands, sovereign brands. You'll find them everywhere. Bel Air's, his extraordinary sparkling wines. He's got McQueen and the Violet Fog gin. He's got Bamboo rum. He's got Villon, which is a cognac. You know, the list goes on and on. And you've got new things coming out all the time. Congratulations on all your success. And by the way, Self-Made, you can find that. That's his interview process. It's either on his Instagram, which is what is the name of your Instagram?
Brett Barish CEO.
There you go. Can't miss that.
Nigel, thank you for having me on Shaken and Stirred. Big fan. You pick one brand and own it. All right.
There you go. Great piece of advice. Pick one brand and own it. And if you're Brett Barish, just keep picking them because you're going to earn a lot.
Thank you, Nigel.
All the best, guys. Everybody, have a great week ahead of you. We'll see you again on the Shaken and Stirred show. Thanks so much. Thank you very much for listening. That is Shaken and Stirred. We will be back next week with another podcast and another fantastic guest. And stay safe.
This podcast was produced and edited by Embassy Road.